and welcome to Ageless Travel Adventures. This is Giselle.
And this is Ken, and Happy New Year.
Happy 2025.
Yeah, which is interesting because it just seems like Y2K was around the corner. So here we are 25 years later.
And we are coming to you live from the North Sea. We are aboard a Viking ship headed up to the Northern Lights, and we thought we'd fill you in a little bit on what has transpired since our last podcast and then what has happened since we've gotten aboard the ship. It's kind of interesting.
It is, and I think there's, when you travel a lot, there's lessons to be learned in everything. So we'd like to share some of that with you. Our trip in the fall was cut short. We had a health issue that was concerning, so we went.
We're in Paris.
In Paris, we went to the doctor, hospital. Felt like we needed some more tests, so we went on home. Cut our trip short. Not a big deal. Got everything cleared up. We had this one on the books already, so we said let's move ahead, and we left Orlando on January 7th.
So we flew from Orlando direct to London, and we
on Delta,
on
which
Delta was excellent.
Yeah.
I will say the Delta Lounge in in Orlando, I was not as crazy about. I thought it was a little
Sky
bit
Club, Delta
Sky Club. It was not the best lounge we've been to, but it was fine. Anyway, so we got here and we spent a few days. We got to London, spent a few days in London, and we stayed at the Nomad Hilton,
it's a
London.
Hilton property.
And it was amazing. It's probably has become one of our most favorite hotels. The staff was wonderful, the room was delightful, and the location was superb.
Right in the West End Theater District. It was pretty close to the Thames River. It was an old police station that had been remodeled right across from the Royal Opera House.
So we hung around there, did some typical London things. We'd never been to the Tate Museum, so we went there. That's the modern museum, and that's a whole podcast in itself. It was really nice, and so we just putzed around London a bit, and then we went to see the show Six, which was great fun. And then the next day we left to come to the cruise port. Getting to the cruise port from London, you have obviously several options. You can get the train and a tube to the port, then you've got to take cabs, trains, automobiles, kind of a thing. We decided after doing a bit of research that it was the most cost effective, if you will, to just get an Uber direct.
But, it was Saturday, so, Uber and Lyft rates can vary depending on the time of day. For instance, morning or afternoon rush hour, or weekends, or late at night, you can pay a premium. So when we were looking, we had asked the hotel, a private car driver was 300 pounds, and there's get a pound is about $1.25, so it was pricey. And to take a taxi was a little over 200 pounds. And so when we put in, Lyft didn't come up, so when we put in Uber, the basic Uber came in at 62 pounds, and we went, wow. And then we looked at it a little more, and we could get a Comfort Plus, or Comfort Uber. It was 76, and because we had a bunch of bags, and also I'm 6'4", we said, well, it's a little bit of a ride, so let's do the Comfort. And it was 76 pounds, and well worth it. There was traffic, and it took about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. It was a little longer than we expected because there was some road trouble. Well worth it, because we would have had to probably take Uber to the train station and then take the train down to Tilbury, which is the port we left at. It's the London port on the Thames, and then we would have had to probably we would have either take a taxi or a Uber to the ship. So net, we probably spent a little more money, but it saved a lot of hassle.
Yeah, and it's just with you that many luggage, and also it's cold, and I'm very wimpy because I'm from Florida, so it's we anticipated the cold weather, so we had coats and boots and those kinds of things. So anyway, we got aboard the brand new Viking
Vela.
It's a lovely ship. It's like one of the other classes that we've been on in Viking, but again,
a few changes, but one of their newer. It's a new ship, and it is very lovely. About 950 passengers.
So it's an ocean ship, if you will. And so anyway, so we got on the ship and then we went to Amsterdam. We spent a day in Amsterdam, hanging around. We've been there before, so
Did a canal tour,
which was fine,
which they included. And we'd done canal tours in Amsterdam before, but we learned a few new things. And
just walked around for about 2 hours.
And walked around and and looked at various memorials, this and that's. And of course, any canal tour you go past the Anne Frank house, which always brings sort of little throb to your heart because we've been there before.
And Amsterdam is full of what's really neat. I think in Amsterdam, or almost around every corner, there's like these little statues of people that were influential in the history of Amsterdam. And there was one we saw about the woman who was in who had worked for the Salvation Army.
It was a major
who saved tons of children during World War II. Then she went on to be very instrumental in the making sure women in the red light district had health care, etc. So anyway, it was pretty fascinating.
And the monument said that she was the most influential person ever in Amsterdam's history.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
We would just found her around the corner. So anyway, so we get all that, we come on the board, and we're supposed to have 2 days of sailing. One day is sailing to the North Sea, and then the second day is supposed to be sailing into the Arctic Circle. So here's what happened. Day before yesterday, or was it last night? I've lost track of time.
Yesterday, we're on the ship, and the captain, it's smooth, and the captain says, well, the winds are going to pick up. It's going to be a little rough tonight, just to let you know. And he said, winds 40, 50 miles an hour, seas, 20, 25 feet high.
So Karen and I have done, if you followed our podcast a bit, we have done a lot of cruising. We've been on numerous cruises. And all the cruises we've been on, we have never, and I repeat, never have had the weather like we've had. The waves were over 100 feet.
No,
I'm sorry.
The winds were over 100 miles an hour.
And the waves?
And the waves were 40 to 50 feet.
I mean, it looked like you were on the Titanic. I mean, thank God we're not there. But we obviously didn't go out on our balcony because they would have yelled at us. But I tried to look at it, and literally the waves are just smushing over things. And at some point,
we're on the fourth deck, and the water's sloshing up, and the chairs were rolling around inside.
We had tables not flying, but going back and forth, glasses falling down, and the good thing, Ken and I, neither one of us were hurt. We have been sequestered in our room all day now because the waves have been horrendous, and they don't want anybody hurt.
As far as walking around, but also in the common areas, there was a lot of glass breakage.
That's what they said. We haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it because we haven't been out, and furniture that was knocked over, etc. So they're cleaning it up, and I think in another hour or so we'll be able to go downstairs. We're making an early port stop into Allison, which is a port we weren't supposed to go to.
We're gonna not go to Nordvik, but that's here or there. We are just glad to be safe, and the captain has done a great job of I would say maybe 40 minutes or 30 minutes, he would get on the PA system and say, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you, but buckle in. It's as the saying goes, it's gonna get a little rough," and it did. And I don't think we got a whole lot of sleep last night and most of the day. We'll catch up on the next day or so, but it was really the most rocky and tumultuous ride we had. Luckily, Ken nor I, as a rule, get seasick. I get a little bit of nauseous. Ken gets nothing. So, but I was very grateful neither one of us got ill. I think the situation would have been worse had we gotten ill. But anyway, so now we're smooth sailing toward that
port. Going into the harbor, into Ålesund, that little guttural.
Which we don't do very well.
and we're going to anchor briefly until the tugboats can come, and then they're going to put us on into the dock, and we can go ashore apparently tonight if we want, but it's probably going to be between 9 and 10 before we're docked.
Yeah, unless something's amazing, and we'll be
and
here
it's
all
winter
day.
in Norway, so it's cold. We'll see. And tomorrow we have a free cruise, a tour excursion, which they do in every port, and we're looking forward to it. It ought to be interesting.
New place we never thought about going to. We'll have to do some research.
Ålesund. We've been to several ports in Norway before, so this will be another experience.
But it kind of it goes. We've said this before about when you travel. You have to be willing to be adaptable. Now, again, we haven't spoken to any of our fellow travelers and things like that. And to us, it's like, okay, so we didn't get to Narvik, and we'll see what they're going to do. I'm hoping that they're not going to rearrange the whole cruise because we've been looking so forward to going this way to see the Northern Lights.
Well, they're taking us up above the Arctic Circle, and that's the plan. However, the captain did tell us that they're reviewing their plans. We're going to spend the night here because the winds are going to pick up again out in the North Sea. And so my guess is they don't want to have a repeat of last night. And hopefully then things will calm down some and we can get on our way. Now, what that means, do we lose a day or a port? We don't know yet.
But that's part of traveling. And if you, we've said, as I said, when you go on these trips, if you just have to be ready to accept that they can't control it. And like I said, the ship and this crew, they've given us breakfast in our room, they gave us lunch in our room. The good thing though is I had there was no, when we came on board, we bought the drink package. I know, what a surprise. And I found a bottle of wine that I liked, that they only had 2 bottles left. So the wine steward was nice enough to just give me the 2 bottles. So while everybody else may have just had to drink Coke and water today, Ken and I had a nice bottle of wine with our lunch. So we've enjoyed it. We watched some old movies on TV, and just chilled and kind of, it's not what I would have planned, but it hasn't been all that bad. What do you think, Ken?
No. I'm very respectful of weather in the ocean, and I would be lying if I didn't say I had a little apprehension last night as everything was sliding off all the tables, and my nightstand actually broke away from the wall and was
on the floor.
Was banging around against the sliding cupboard. So yeah, it was pretty violent, and it was interesting, and the captain came on about, I think it was about 4:30 finally. I woke up about 3, and we were rolling around. I was pretty wide awake after that. And he come on about 4:30 to assure people, and I think that's because they were either calling or they were leaving their rooms because they were frightened and not sure what was going on. So he kept giving us announcements probably every 20 or 30 minutes to reassure us that the ship could handle what was underway, etc. So
we've been, and when you're on a lot of cruises, sometimes the captains are not as personable. Maybe their job is to make you safe and make sure you get there. So they're not, their job, it doesn't have to be personable. But this captain, I don't know his name, but he is really funny, and he's very personable, and he seems to want to reassure people. And so it was interesting. I was a little nervous, I kept thinking the Titanic, and but we were okay. Nothing sloshed in. We didn't have water coming through our cabin or anything like that, other than the water that spilled on the floor. But anyway, so that's where we're at right now. We are going to do a better job this year of doing our podcasts on a regular basis. We enjoy doing them, and the few people that do follow us, we do appreciate it, and hopefully you'll get some tips and enjoy hearing about our travels.
So we'll do another one maybe tomorrow. We'd like to fill you in on our trip to Paris. We were going to do France, Paris, France on the riverboat, and we did that. And then we were going on to Egypt, which we canceled. We'll fill you in on all that, and then a little bit about insurance, because we did get some insurance rebates or some refunds from what we canceled, and we'll talk a little bit about insurance, because I think everybody needs to understand when you book these things that nothing's a complete given, and you're putting a lot of money out, and you're putting it out early on usually, so things can happen between when you book and when you do your tours. So we'll do that maybe tomorrow or in the next day or two, and then we'll try to do some more on Norway and the Northern Lights and what we see, and then we'll try to keep this going on a more regular basis.
One thing we've done with all our trips and our travel insurance, this is the first time that we've actually ever had to file a claim, and so that was very enlightening, and we learned some good things, some bad things. So we hopefully will pass those along, that maybe you guys can benefit from that and not be in the same situations that we were in. We didn't have a choice in Paris. It wasn't like we arbitrarily decided to come home. it made sense. So, but we learned a few things about travel insurance and how it all works. So, anyway, well, we appreciate you guys listening, and we're looking forward to a new year and more travels and all the good stuff.
Ever onward. Have a great new year, and talk to you all soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.